Hello, so today I thought we'd do a very simple card using these dimensional butterflies. They're actually little stickers and the wings fold up if you want them to. They've got a little crease part way down and you can just fold them up. So there's those. I've got a piece of patterned paper. I've got a few to choose from, but I think a fairly plainish one that coordinates with the butterflies. I've also got a smaller piece of white paper or card, and I've got one of these. This is when I was die cutting some card blanks, so they had an aperture. This is what was left. So this is the circle from the centre. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my patterned paper and my butterflies away for the moment. This is a very simple and quick technique. So I'm just going to pop my circle in the middle of my white paper. I've got some Distress Inked in Cracked Pistachio because that coordinates nicely with my butterflies. And I've got one of these makeup brushes. I use these quite a lot because they're quite subtle for applying ink and you don't get a big blotch of colour. So basically I'm going to press down on my circle and not move it. Pick some ink up on my brush and starting on the circle and going outwards, swirl ink around. If you've got a blending brush, you can do this with a blending brush, the flatter types. If you've got the blending tools, you can do it with the blending tool. I actually like using these makeup sponge brushes because it's very, very subtle. And I don't get as many streaks and marks. I actually like the subtle effect. So I'm just going round the edge of my circle and round the edge of my card, and my piece of circle of card in the centre will stop the ink going onto that area. Just be careful when you put your fingers onto this, you will have ink on it and then you'll have ink on your fingers. And if you put them anywhere else on your card, it will transfer, so be very, very careful. So I'm just going all the way around. Just keep moving my hand, but keeping the circle always in the same place. If you've got post-it notes, you can die cut a post-it note so that it would stick to your card front or your paper and not move. I hadn't got any post-it notes large enough. You could also use repositionable glue. I haven't got any, so that wasn't an option for me. Now it does look very, very pale, but once you take the circle off, you will notice a difference. What I might do is ink the edges of the card separately, just with a sponge, for a bit stronger look. I quite like my corners to be quite inked, so I might concentrate a little bit on the corners. And then it's very subtle, but I think that will do. As I say, be very careful because you'll have ink on your fingers. And then when you take your circle away, you actually notice the difference. Got a bit of fluff on there, that's it. So if I pop that onto there, and you see that gives it a nice background. And then these little butterflies actually coordinate very well. They are sticky backed, but they just need their wings bending up a little bit, and there is a crease where you bend them up. So I think I'm going to have one there, maybe a smaller one up here. Again, I'll crease its wings up. I think it needs to go a different way. And then I could just add a sentiment, and that would be a very, very quick and simple card. If you wanted, and I might do this, you could doodle round there. Not everybody's into doodling, I do realise that. We could actually put another butterfly on. No, I think I like it with two. Sometimes less is more. Just wondering about doodling. Do I? No, I think I'll leave it at that. I like it at that. I think maybe thank you or best wishes. I've picked this brown because there's brown in this butterfly and it's a nice contrast. I could actually put some ink onto there so that it coordinates with this. I think I like it just as it is, just brown. So I'll stick that all onto a card blank, and that is a very, very simple and easy card. Now if you wanted to do another one, but using our nicely inked up circle, what you could do is get a nicely patterned paper, mat and layer it onto some white or cream, put your circle, which is nicely inked up there, your sentiment there, and a butterfly accent there. What I think I might do this time is just doodle round this circle. So I've just got a fine liner pen, and I'm just going to do little faux stitches all the way around. To me these always look like tacking stitches, so they don't have to be perfect. So when I matten layered that onto there, then we have our, I could probably put it onto cream actually, and then our sentiment there, and our little butterfly there. And that's a very, very quick and easy card. So we've got our 2 cards. I did actually decide to doodle round the edge of the inked panel and round the circle on this one. And on this one I doodled round the circle that we placed in the middle of there and inked round, which I've glued on there, and I've doodled round a white layer as well before I put it on the card blank. And I've also doodled round a little panel of white which I've put the sentiment on. If you don't know how to do faux stitching, I'll show you. This one I'm going to put thank you on, and I'm going to just matte and layer it onto some white. So I'll set that aside for the moment. Now you can either glue it on first, which is probably a good idea because then you don't go underneath your sentiment. So just put that onto your white. Try and get it fairly central. Yeah, I think that's fairly central. And then I use these fine liners which came from The Works. I don't think you can get them anymore, but you can get a different type which look like this, which are just as good. I quite like these being a bit chunky to hang on to, so I tend to use these, but whichever, as long as it's a fine liner. And basically you're just going to, you don't need to measure, just little dashes in a straightish line just around. You can do fancy stitching if you want. I wouldn't recommend trying to do a zigzag. Draw a zigzag, you could actually do it on your sewing machine, but actually drawing it is very difficult. You have to be very accurate. I tend to think my faux stitching looks like tacking stitches because it's quite chunky and quite big. Also, it doesn't have to be perfect in a tacking stitch. If this was your machine, you'd be a bit worried about it, with uneven stitches and lengths and everything. So that's basically it. Some people do like to actually put a ruler and do the stitching along a ruler. I don't mind that it's uneven, so I just do mine freehand. So that's it. So that one I am going to glue onto there. Maybe a little bit higher. That just finishes that off there. And that's our 2 cards. So I hope you find that a nice, easy, quick and simple card to do.